Hello, this is Marcus, the Fingaz, D-A-F-I-N-G-A-Z, back with the Sampleist, and in this video, we're going to talk all about bunker samples, everything they offer for us music composers and creators. Before we get into that, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for incredible videos and reviews for products such as the ones we're going to review today from Bunker Samples. And although that these sounds, these sounds were provided and these libraries were provided from the team over at Bunker Samples, they have not had a chance to review this video and provide any input, and that also will not affect our judgment on these instruments themselves. So let's get into it. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Bunker Strings Volume 1 and 2. We're talking about Off-World Volume 1 and 2, Harmonium, and Gangster Loops. To give you an overview of what you're going to get here, Bunker Strings Volume 1 is over 3 gigabytes. It is currently priced at $59. Volume 2 is 4.8 gigabytes, so almost 5 gigabytes, currently priced at $79. But you can get a bundle for Bunker Strings Volume 1 and 2 for $109. That is normally $138. So at the time of this recording, the bundle is $109. For Off-World Volume 1, that is over 8 gigabytes, a little bit over 8 gigabytes, $39 currently. And Volume 2 is over 5 gigabytes, $59. And normally you can get the bundle for $98, but it is currently at a great deal for $79 for the Off-World Volume 1 and 2. Also, the Off-World requires Contact 573 or higher. Bunker Strings Volume 1 does require Contact 5.6.6 or higher. Harmonium, which is the next one here, is just under a gig for $49 right now. It does require Contact Full 573. Gangster Loops, listen to this one right here, is $0 currently. Gangster Loops is free. You can get that for $0 and 77 megabytes. There is one that we will not review today, but it's called the Danbo Pad that you can also get for free. For 70 megabytes, and also that Danbo pad was used to sample for the Off-World series, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then finally, you have the Artist Bundle, which includes Bunker Strings 1 and 2 and Harmonium for $149. Normally that is $187, and then you can get the whole complete collection, which is what we're reviewing here. Basically everything you can get for $226. A great deal for some great sounds. And again, all of these do require the full version of Contact. Some require 5.6.6, and then some of the newer ones require 5.7.3 or higher. All right, now that we got through all of that, let's get into the individual instruments. We're going to start with Bunker Strings Volume 1. What you get here is you get violin longs and shorts, you get viola longs and shorts, cello longs and shorts, bass longs and shorts, ensemble longs and shorts, and then you have an interesting synth here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go over the plugin, which is very similar for all of the instruments. We'll go over them one by one, but we'll start with violin here. Volume 1, violin. You have 2 round robins, that you can layer, or you can switch between 2 times the density. And what density is, when you adjust this knob here for density, let me get my longs back up. When you adjust the density, you can use your modulation wheel also. It goes from all the way down, which is 3 players, to all the way up, which is 9 players. When you double the density, you go all the way down, which is 6 players, all the way up to 18. So you can double the density there. You can also do the double round robin there. You have an auto purge function, which releases the samples that are not needed, and that can help you save RAM. You have different articulations that can go from soft to loud. You can choose different articulations here: soft pitch tremolo, loud pitch, drumstick tremolo, ricochet tremolo, soft to loud there, and then pitch to drumstick tremolo, and then the pitch to ricochet tremolo. You also have attack release. You can adjust the pan, you can adjust the stereo width there, but basically everything you want to control is right here on the main page. So let's jump to Bunker Strings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over each instrument one by one, and then we'll do some reviews, some demo, just playing some sounds from the instrument, and then we'll go from there. So with Bunker Strings, from the violin, you have drumstick shorts here. This is the violin shorts. You have drumstick shorts. You have this auto fade function, which allows you to cut down on voice counts, and it allows you to fade out a previous or dampen a previous note when a new note is played. It also works with chords that you play within 50 milliseconds of each other. So that auto fade is a great option there. And again, you have attack release here, you have stereo width, you have stereo pan, you have expression, density there. So you have those options there. And then with viola longs, you have again some of those similar articulations that we saw for violin. I won't go over all those again. And then we have viola shorts again with the drumstick shorts. We have cello longs again with those articulations for that. And then we have cello shorts here. So again, you start seeing some similarities, which is really great. When you get one, you sort of learn them. When you understand the sort of framework of one, you understand them all. Then we have bass here, bass longs and bass shorts, ensemble longs and ensemble shorts, and then we have the synth. The synth is slightly different. This is the bonus patch that you get, and the synth patch is great because you have different pads here that you can use in your music productions, and you can also have the auto purge function, the ADSR, the expression. Instead of density, you have morph here, so it allows the pads to sort of live and breathe and morph into different types of sound design. So we'll play some of those shortly. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to mute the microphone and I'm going to play just some of the sounds here in the NKIs from Bunker Strings Volume 1. Here we go. One thing to note, I did not mention, is that you do have key switches down here, which will help you switch between those different articulations. So you have that option also. Let's jump to violin shorts. So that is Bunker Strings Volume 1. Again, for Bunker Strings Volume 1, you're looking at 3.6 gigabytes, currently priced at $59. Let's go over to Bunker String Volume 2. So let's jump over here. And very similar. You see you have a little bit more controls here, so we'll go over those in a little detail right now. For Bunker Strings Volume 2, what you're getting is some of the similar functions. You do have the round robin, you have the density slider that adjusts from 3 to 9 players, you have the auto purge function, but you have this new velocity control, which allows you to determine the dynamics of the sound you're playing based on how hard you play the keys. And then you have the articulations, different combinations here. So you have your pulses, super sol tasto, you have octave pulses, tremolo burst, normal, sol point, plectrum tremolo. You have all these options here, and then you have the different transitions here from different articulations. So these are different, as you can tell from Bunker Strings Volume 1. So it's not just, they didn't just take Volume 1 and repeat it for Volume 2. These are different articulations, so it does help to have both. I'm just going to play like I did before. I'm going to play a couple. Again, very similar options in each of these. You might see a little bit of difference. For example, this doesn't have, the violin shorts does not have the velocity controls, but it does have a pizzicato overlay. Then you have some settings that you can adjust here if you want to change the key switches, and you can use MIDI CC. You can adjust the sample start offset. So you have some other options there. You do have this pizzicato overlay you can use. So a little bit different, but also very similar. So it's not too different. And then you can choose between your attack shorts and release shorts here, and adjust how long the shorts and trims are adjusted based on this slider. So you have so many options there. It is suggested for this one, for Volume 2, to use the 20 millisecond track delay. So there is a 20 millisecond delay on all the shorts. So you can adjust that in the settings here, or you can also adjust that in your DAW, and it is suggested to use a negative track delay of 20 milliseconds there. So yeah, there's so many options here. Again, you have the longs here, shorts, similar controls. I'm just going to mute the microphone again and play through some of these, and you'll get an idea of how Bunker Strings Volume 2 sounds here. So 1 second, let me open up all these, and I'm just going to do exactly what we did. And you're going to hear some interesting sounds, especially when we get to like the bendy, the bass bendies type stuff. So, all right, here we go. That is Bunker Strings Volume 2. One quick reminder that I actually didn't mention earlier is that these short patches used here uses guitar picks on the stringed instruments, and it is inspired by the Johnny Greenwood soundtrack to There Will Be Blood. So there's a lot of great cinematic sounds that you can get from Bunker Strings Volume 2. And the price for Bunker Strings Volume 2, again, is $79. That is just under 5 gigabytes, so 4.8 gigabytes. And you can get the bundle of Volume 1 and 2 for $109. It is normally $138, so at the time of this recording, it is $109. All right, let's jump over to gongster loops. These are loops that use a gong, as you can tell there. They use those brushes there to hit different sides of the gong there, and the gong is actually a tuned Vietnamese gong, and you have two articulations. You have center and edge. I believe if I click here, you can go between the center and the edge, and they have a time machine sort of pro to match your DAW tempo. So although the loops were recorded at these 4 tempos, the suggestion is that you use the tempo closest to the tempo you're using in your DAW, and then it will time stretch. If you want to get some unique sound design, you can use something a little bit further out of the tempo that you're using, but it will time stretch it to match the DAW of your tempo. And then if you have the rhythm selector, you have a sort of a filter here. You also have resonance, so these bars under the filter are resonance, so you can adjust the resonance there. And then you have this auto purge function, which will only load the samples you need for the settings that you choose, again, to save RAM there. The instrument here was recorded in mono, and the red key that you see, if you have a native instruments keyboard, or if you see the graphic here, the red key is the original sample that was sampled, and then it was pitch stretched to stretch out to the other keys. So the further you get out, it might sound a little bit different, but again, great sounding instrument. And we're going to play through a couple of the loops here. I have my tempo at 120, so we're just going to start with the 120, and I'm going to play the red key here. Yeah, so nothing too crazy there with Gongster Loops. You are getting 77 megabytes there for the file size, and it is $0 at the time of the recording of this. All right, let's jump over to harmonium. This one is an interesting instrument. So if you don't know what a harmonium is, it basically takes the sound of a bassoon or oboe type sound reed, and it turns it into an organ. So it's like a reed organ that is inspired or influenced, and it might sound a little bassoon and oboe-ish style. This particular instrument has 3 round robins. It is based and sampled from a 1910 instrument that was built, a harmonium that was built and it was sampled. And then you have different options here. So you have your noises where the pump would be the green knob here, and you hear that? I'll turn that. If I can turn that, actually, I'm going to solo one here. You have your keys and stops here. The red key switches are the actual stops there. So you have some options there. You have 6 stops, as you can see up here, with the different, those are normally called feet, I believe, 4 foot, 8 foot, 8 foot. So different, almost articulation type sounds. So you have 6 stops. You can command click to solo those, or alts to turn them on or off. You have volume, pan, and tone for each stop. You have a performance where you can have the reel attack and release, the super reel off for the ADSR controls. So if you want to turn off your attack and release, you get all your ADSR controls, or maybe you want a real attack and a real release and you don't have any ADSR controls. You have dynamics options there, which controls how much the instrument reacts to your playing. You have your FX matrix here in the middle, which is your different different effects, including LFO, chorus, rotator, formant, dirt, cabinet, filter, and then your sends, which are related to your send effects down here, your delays and reverbs. So you have 2 delays and 2 reverbs, and you can go between all these different reverbs here. So a very, very powerful plugin. You can also adjust the time of delay that matches to your tempo. So there's so much in here. I'm just going to mute, and it does come with a couple of sort of presets here that you see here. So I'm just going to mute. I'm going to play a couple sounds here in the harmonium. As you can see, I'm having too much fun with the sound. All right, I'm going to go through some of these other just presets that come with it. I did load these up separately, and here I just dragged and dropped them into the NKI, but you can have these presets. Yeah, sounds great. I can tell I was having so much fun with the demo for harmonium. One thing I didn't note here is that you do have an octave selector here. So let's say you have these two sounds, and you have this one. They sound almost the same, but what you can do is you can drop this one down. Let's say not 5 dB. That's the volume here. You can drop this one down using the knob there, an octave, and you're gonna get this. So you can build out sounds that way. And then you can also use a combination of the effects for like LFO to have some of those gating functions that you were hearing in some of those other sounds. And you can also use these effects, which I didn't go over. I went over briefly earlier, but you can get some of those gating sounds. Let me turn off the pump. You can get some of those gating sounds. If you click on the effects, you have more options within the effects. Too much to get into in this review, but you can go into each of these effects here and you can adjust the options and you can start getting some of those like gating type effects. Yep. So if you click on the different effects, you get some more options there below it. So very powerful plugin. There's a lot under the hood here that you can dive into. So definitely check out Harmonium, which again, as a reminder, is currently $49. It is 892 megabytes, and it does require the Contact Full version of 573 or higher. Let's jump finally over to Off-World Volume 1 and 2. We're going to start with Volume 1 for Off-World. These are great ways, great sort of pad sounds. It is sampled from a Vietnamese Danbo sound source, Danbo, which is a monochord played with a pick for this particular sample. They sampled it with a bow, and you have some options here. In Volume 1, you have length. You can, determine from 4 all the way down to 1, 1 to 4. You have direction here, so you can go up, no slide, or down, and then you have how many steps, how long the slide takes to go from, 1 semitone or to 4. You also have the horizontal slider, which indicates the velocity control. It also indicates the length that you set based on velocity, things like that. So there's some options there. You have ADSR, you have filters and resonance sliders, which we saw in some previous Bunker Samples plugins. You also have this expression, which is not currently the modulation wheel. The modulation wheel actually adjusts the direction, so that could be interesting if you do some automation there. And then we have a couple of presets here. These are, I just loaded these up to give you an idea of what the pack comes with. Actually, you have creator patches, so there's 3 of those. I have those loaded up here. You have 4 distortion patches here. Then you have these warp patches. What is it? 6 warp patches. So you have a total of 13-ish there. And I just loaded them all up in one contact instance here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into them one by one, and I'm just going to play the Off-World Volume 1 sounds. You also have the sequence effects, so you can actually get in there. You can add some compressor, chorus, delay, convolution. You have a couple of reverbs here, or a lot of reverbs here, stereo saturation, phase filter, and then you have a gate sequencer at the bottom. There, you can also save presets, and you can update presets. So you have so many options there. Let's play through again the Danbo pad. So you can really get in there and start sound designing your own sounds. This one is the POG pedal full. This is the default. As you can tell, it's sliding up. If we do the modulation wheel, and it sounds more like an organ there. This next one will be the pedal octaves. And again, you have those same options there. Then we get into the distortions. Let me load this one. Just hearing that offhand can be used as a great signature sound in like a trailer track. All right, we have Distortion Mayhem Full. Then we have the saturated octaves. And that can get into sound design. That actually sounds like, just hearing it, it reminds me of a little bit like the sound from the film and TV show The Purge, or the series The Purge. It sounds like the sound when The Purge is about to begin. So you can use that as a like signature alarm sound. Yeah, so I'm hearing these things as I'm playing these sounds. It has some crunch to it. It actually sounds like a video game. So it like almost 8-bitty, but not 8-bitty. Then we have this drone flyby. Great sounds here. Massive full. One thing to also note here is you have this bow on bends only. What that means is if you have the bend selected to up or down, that's when you'll get sort of the bow sound. And then when it's not, you won't get the bow sound. So again, some sound design controls there that could be really helpful for whatever track you're working on. Massive octaves. Then we have massive XL full. And it's almost sounding like is it the THX? When you enter a movie and they play that sound at the beginning, it almost sounds like that, not quite. Then we have metallic res. And again, the velocity right now is controlling. You see where the slider will, if I hit the key soft, the velocity is going down, the direction is going down. If I hit it hard, it goes up. And if I can get it somewhere in the middle, it will not do anything. So yeah, so many options there. And then last but not least, outer limits. That is Off-World Volume 1. We also have Volume 2. Again, for Volume 1, just a reminder of what you're getting for Volume 1. You are getting 8.2 gigabytes. It is currently $39. Does require Contact 573 or higher. And then for Volume 2, we'll go through this. As you can tell, they changed the UI here. So you're getting some really, really great sounds here. One thing to note is you have 2 layers here for Volume 2, Off-World Volume 2, and with these 2 layers, you can layer in the same sound or you can layer in different sounds. You have ADSR controls, you have tuning, panning, volume, you do have LFO controls, so you have 2 LFOs per layer, and what you can do is you can say, I want the top LFO to adjust the volume, but I want the bottom LFO to adjust the pan, and whatever you set here. So the top LFO will play the full cycle every quarter note. You can also say, I want it to play 2 quarter notes or things like that. So down here, you have 5 eighth notes, and then you can load in a bunch of effects. So what you can do here is you have all these different effects, the reverbs, some of the things we saw before in the other plugins, distortion, rotator, stereo, and you can load up to 4 effects per layer. And then you also have master effects. The master effects cannot be adjusted by the LFO, but you'll have some options there for master effects. You also have velocity, control, and expression. And if I go back to, let's say, a distortion effect, you can also adjust some of these effects by the LFOs, whether it's the top one or the bottom one. So much functionality here. I'm going to play just this sound out the box. And it's not out the box because I made some adjustments, but here we go. And also, they do come with some presets, so let me get over to Off-World Volume 2, and if I go to Instruments here and Presets, what I wish was included here with the volume 2 in particular. I wish that the presets were just saved as snapshots so that I can just go here to snapshots and just load up the snapshots. I can do that, manually, but just would be one less thing that I would have to do to get all these 48 presets in there. So what I'm going to do right now is just drag and drop, and then I'm going to say yes. And this is the 3 Against 2. Let's listen to that. And one other thing here, the question mark will give an overlay of what these sounds are. When the overlay is on, you can't adjust any of the knobs. So this is sort of like, this will freeze the plugin. So if you want to just see what a parameter does, click the question mark, see what that does, and then click it again, and then you can get back to sound designing and things like that. I'm going to load up just a couple of presets here and play through a few, and then we'll get on to the demo. Yeah, that is Off-World Volume 2. Again, 5 gigabytes, $59, contact 573 or higher. You can also get the Off-World bundle for $79. Currently, it is normal $98. So that is an overview of the Bunkers Samples full collection, all the plugins that you can get from Bunker Samples. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to a demo I created using only the Bunker Samples collection. Here we go. So that is the demo I created using only the Bunker Samples complete bundle. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with, I actually built this from the bottom up. So I started with this Off-World Volume 2 preset. This is the Warm Swells preset there. So I'm going to just play through the chord progression. I believe I was playing F major 7 down to a D minor 7 to A minor 7. So nothing too crazy, but this is what that sound is doing. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. And then the second time around, I have Off-World Volume 1 coming in, playing this sort of bass type synth sound. I really liked what that sound was adding to the overall track. Almost like a muted Brahms sound. I really like that low end there. So that was that. And then I have the harmonium coming in the second time around, playing the same chord progressions, but doing sort of that melody that you will hear from the gangster loops in a second. So yeah, that just comes to double in that sort of melody. It's also harmonized also, but the harmonium's coming in there. And then the gangster loops, I brought this in at the beginning to sort of bring the tempo of the track. So it has the loops going, but it's also playing the sort of that melodic line with the loops. So here's this. And it's also mono, so nothing too crazy, but some of the other sounds actually get wider when I bring them in later, so the whole track widens up. And then we have Bunker Strings Volume 2 playing the ensemble patch with this burst normal to sol point, and then I also have the plectrum tremolo layered with that, and this is what that's playing. And then as we get further into the track, you'll see that the density knob increases, so it's actually widening or increasing the number of players. So that's happening there. I could have automated the stereo width, but I have that going on in Volume 1, where I have sort of the wider track coming in also towards the end. And I believe I recorded this last. This is actually like a solo. I wanted to have a solo instrument on top, and I should have just loaded up the violin patch, but I just used the whole ensemble patch, and that's playing this. Did have that really wide. I might narrow it in. I don't know. But that's what that's doing. So it's more like a solo instrument up on the top. And then at the very top, the second part of the sort of second half of the track, where I had the stereo width kind of wide, and I had the same chords being played in Bunker Strings Volume 1, the ensemble pitch to ricochet tremolo. So you see it just expanding and growing wider. I'm going to play through that one more time. Yeah, so great sounds. Overall thoughts, I really like these instruments. You should definitely, if you can, make the investment in the bundle. What I like in particular, my favorite of the bunch, if I had to choose one, I would go with Off-World Volume 1 and 2. I can't choose one. I like the bass sound that I found in Volume 1, and I like the pads here. If there was one suggestion that I would suggest for the Bunker Samples team, it would be to include the presets for Volume 2 as snapshots. Again, I can go in and save the 48 or however many it was, but if there's an update that the Bunker Samples team can consider, it would be to put those presets in as snapshots, and that way I don't have to drag and drop. I can just go here and load them up. Again, I can save those. It'll just be a time investment on our end. But again, you have some free options here. You have the gangster loops, you have the Danbo pad, which is not included here, but it was sampled to make the off-world instrument, so you can get that for free also. And then you have the Bunker strings, you have the gangster loops, you have the harmonium in the off-world Volume 1 and 2. And as you can hear, you can create a cue with just these instruments, and you can go from there. So definitely check out the Bunker Samples options. Again, the Bunker Strings Volume 1, 3.6 gigabytes, $59. Volume 2, 4.8 gigabytes, $79. The bundle you can get for $109. It's normally $138. The Off-World Volume 1, 8.2 gigabytes, $39. Contact 573 or higher. Volume 2, 5.1 gigabytes, $59. Contact 573 or higher. $79 bundle for Volume 1 and 2 of Off-World, normally $98. The Harmonium is 892.5 megabytes, $49. Contact full 573. Gangster Loops is absolutely free, 77.1 megabytes. The Danbo pad is absolutely free, 70 megabytes. You can get the artist bundle, which includes the Bunker Strings 1 and 2 and the Harmonium for $149. $149 is normally $187. You can get the complete collection, everything for $226. I know I flew through that. Remember, all of these instruments do require the full version of Contact. Some require 566, some require 573. So if you have 573 or higher, in general, you are good to go with these instruments. Definitely check it out. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe again to this channel, The Sampleist, for more great reviews and video demos like this one, and stay tuned for more, and we will see you in the next video. All right, peace.